Welcome to the On the Slab Horror Show with me, your host once again, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, joined as always by my two right-hand men. We don't have a leftover here. Mr. Greg Flanagan and of course, the mighty Carl King. Whoa. Welcome, gents.
How are all good in the hood, boys. How are we?
We're a day removed. We're a week removed from Halloween.
That's correct.
Very, very dark and rainy and miserable.
Sad times till next year.
That one, yeah, will return. Today, we've decided to do another film review or look back or whatever you want to call it. And what we've chosen was by yours truly this week was the great 1990s masterpiece that is based on the wonderful Stephen King story, Misery. Directed, screenplay was William Goldman, but produced and directed by Rob Reiner, who was a fantastic.
Which I always find hilarious that he did Spinal Tap. He was in Spinal Tap.
I know, it's crazy. And of course, Andrew Scheinman, which
did he not do Princess Bride as well?
Yeah,
that guy is diverse.
Some good stuff.
I will say that.
Yeah.
And of course,
yeah,
he is a strange guy. Yeah, he's very political these days. I'm like, Reiner, can we just talk about movies? I'm sick of politics.
Get back to
Trump's gone. Get over it now. Trump is gone. just let's move on. Of course, starring the wonderful James Caan and Kathy Bates, Francis Dragon. I can never say it. Sternhagen. Richard Farnsworth, and Lauren Bacall. But really, lads, this film boils down to two people, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Kathy Bates and James Caan. And it's funny enough, I watched it on Halloween night. Again, it's one of those movies I probably watch once a year anyway, or once every couple of years.
I don't think I've watched this in about 10 years.
Yeah, but like it's the premise and the story's the same, so you don't really need to see it all the time. For me, it's just one of those. That was one of those granny movies that I watched with my granny that I always talk about. So it was like the first time I seen it was like, but he was awesome, man, the best.
Lads, I'm gonna let you into a little secret before we go on further, and I'm not proud to say this, but I went out with a board who looked like fucking Annie Wilkes. I'm not messing.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah, and she was as fucking evil as Annie Wilkes as well, just so you know.
So this is why Carl walks with a limp, because this is actually based on his life.
Yeah, you got it, man. You got it. Maybe not quite as extreme as Annie Wilkes, but fucking bad enough, you know.
Yeah. She's full on mental.
Let's have a bit of a breakdown first before we get into the nooks and crannies. So I'm just going to give a bit of a prelude, I suppose. So it's obviously based on a story, and the narrative is famed novelist Paul Sheldon. He's the author of a successful series of Victorian romance novels featuring a character named Misery Chastain. And wanting to focus on more serious stories, he writes a manuscript for a new novel that he hopes will launch his post-Misery career. So he's trying to get away from it. But while traveling from Silver Creek, Colorado to his hometown in New York City, Paul is caught in a massive blizzard and his car goes off the road, rendering him unconscious. A nurse named Annie Wilkes finds Paul and brings him home to her remote location in the wilderness.
I will say there, she's a nurse. That CPR she tries to give him, I'd prefer to be dead.
Or even hit with a fucking hammer.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. So Paul obviously regains consciousness and finds himself bedridden with broken legs and a dislocated shoulder. Annie claims to be his number one fan and talks at length about him and his novels. Out of gratitude, Paul lets Annie read his new manuscript, which is fair enough. While feeding him, she's angered by the profanity of his new work, but she apologizes then, which is really cool when we get into it. Soon after, Annie reads the latest Misery novel, discovers that Misery dies at the end of the book, and flies into a rage, revealing to Paul that nobody knows where he is. So one thing I got from this, lads, watching it again last night, and it's probably something that comes with watching it, so many times. As good as Kathy Bates in it, good Lord, James Caan is fantastic in it as well. Like his facial expressions, his kind of frustration, all the emotions that you would get with being held captive, initially bedridden, but then held captive. They're absolutely fantastic. So What say ye, men? Greg, let's bring you in first.
Well, I would have said, like, I know everyone goes on about how good Kathy Bates was as Annie Wilkes, but I think James Caan actually does steal the show, especially for being basically bedridden for 60 minutes of the movie. Like,
he's only got this, he's only got that. You know what I mean? He's only got the face.
Yeah, like she's brilliant in it though.
What a heel!
Yeah, it's a heel turn that you see coming from the minute one, but it just gets worse.
100%. You're like, good Lord, dude, cop on. But then again, he can't cop on. He can't do anything. But he's quite smart, isn't he, Carl? Because what he starts doing is he starts taking the pills that she's giving him.
Yeah.
And he makes a little slit in his mattress and starts putting them in there.
He's actually, I just wanted to go back for a second. She's almost like the Cactus Jack of the films. You know what I mean? Like that kind of heel. Where
it's brilliant.
You know what I mean? Like, the way he does kind of try and combat her is actually great. It's
subtle.
Yeah. And again, I'd be like Greg. I haven't watched this film in a while. I still remember enough about it to be able to have a good conversation about it. You know what I mean?
Well, you kind of learn as well early on. Like there's little Easter eggs in there for the story that, you know, he's from like a pretty rough side of a town in New York City. So that's kind of where the lack of fear kind of comes from. You know, he's obviously a tough enough guy. You know, he's a writer. You know what I mean? And he kind of he maintains a sense of calm, doesn't he? Throughout the start of it. But
I don't think he really had much of a choice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but like a lot of people in that situation can panic. But I think the more you see that she says the phone lines are down after a couple of days, and then he starts questioning her, like, well, how did you go and get me this paper when she gets in the new typewriter? Oh, I went into town, I got you the most expensive paper. And he's like, well, I can't really write on this paper. And she's like, oh great, anything else you want while I'm out? And he's kind of going, well, did you not check the phone lines while you were in town? The stores are open.
The funny thing was, like, she says when the roads are grand, I'll bring you to the hospital.
Yeah.
So she drives into the town.
And the only road, she's so good at lying, isn't she? Because she basically has an excuse for everything, an answer for everything. This is essentially one of those movies, like one of these great movies that it's just in one room pretty much for the whole time. And of course, you got to love the sheriff and his wife. The sheriff even. He's awesome, and like he's one of those kind of cute old men, isn't he? That you're kind of rooting for. You're like, come on, boy. But the wife gives him a lot of shit all the time, and she's almost his deputy. But what's really cool is that when he gets that call from the lawyer from New York, you can see, even though they don't get much action in that town, you can see he's still very clued in because he's like, something's not right here. You know what I mean?
Wait, someone just doesn't disappear.
Yeah, and he buys all the books and all, like, to read them. You know, he does his case study, he does his research, and he's trying to get a clue into the character and stuff. So it's really kind of cool. And then you've got that one scene, obviously, where he goes down on the edge of the cliff looking for, you know, for any kind of wreckage, and the wife, of course, ruins it again and calls him up, and he's literally 2 minutes, he's literally that far away from the car. You know,
typical women.
It's
always the way, man. They take you out of your zen and your flow.
What happens? Divorced in the morning.
You'd know none of our women were in earshot.
He doesn't watch my shows, so it's okay.
Mine is.
Hello.
Yep. I didn't say anything, Zoe. It's only a joke.
I want to make sure she doesn't have a hammer beside her and blocks.
Well, I'm far away.
Hobbled in the morning.
Yeah. So let's get into this, boys. Like, in terms of horror / thriller, I mean, this is definitely a horror movie. Much in the same vein as Jaws, you know, in the sense that this shit could happen, but it's not, you know, it's not ghouls and monsters.
Yeah. It's a slow build.
Very slow build. And I mean, when you watch it for the first time, like, I mean, anyone that hasn't seen it out there, if you're watching the show, good Lord, do yourself a favor and watch it, because it's it's very much, would I be wrong in saying, lads, that it's very modern Hitchcock almost?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
As in,
suspense, it has that. It's kind of like the Psycho bit, where it's a slow build to a big moment, and then it starts to rebuild itself again.
Well, I suppose let's not disrespect Stephen King. It's Stephen King, isn't it? You know, You know, we all know Stephen King we all know he's an oddball. Definitely.
Sure is.
But, you know, when he does it good, he does it really good. You know, he's written so much that it's, you know, he's bound to kind of have a couple of duds in there. But I mean, 9 out of 10 times he gets it right. And this is one of them, along with the likes of Salem's Lot, that's just up there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Obviously, It and The Shining as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And The Shawshank, of course.
Shawshank is great.
Yeah.
Amazing. On the wrong show.
It's not quite a horror one, but it was a strange one for him to do.
And The Stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you go back and look at Stephen King stuff, I suppose it's okay to segue. When you go back and look at Stephen King stuff, and obviously we're kind of children of the 90s primarily, you know what I mean, where we were old enough to kind of see everything that was coming out. And I'm sure you boys, I know you definitely do, Carl, but I'm sure you do as well, Greg. You remember at the weekend, you'd just get like at 10 or 11 o'clock, you'd get one of these random Stephen King movies on Channel 4, as always.
Yeah. What was it?
Salute to Channel 4. But the Tinner. I was about to say Tinner, and of course the Night Flyer, which is unbelievable, based on basically a flying vampire.
Hold on, didn't he do Christine as well?
Yeah, he did
Christine. Yeah, but that was a movie, and then he did Christine was John Carpenter. Yes, John Carpenter made the movie out of it. Yeah. He wrote Christine, but then, like, if you think about it, good Lord, I had one on my Tinner, and then there was obviously you'd understand the
Cujo as well.
Of course, Salem's Lot was a mini series as well. You could buy the VHS with the whole mini series together, and it came out like a movie. But what was the other one that he done? So there was the Night Flyer, there was Tinner, and then there was another one that he had done that was kind of for TV. Silver Bullet.
Silver Bullet was quality. The werewolf one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, with Nick Nolte. What a fucking movie.
About that, yeah.
Good on Nick
really
Nolte,
great movie.
Nick Nolte. Wow.
Oh man, that priest is so good in that. We'll obviously talk about some of these movies. We'll have a Stephen King show for sure, and we'll pick
I was only thinking that we should do a retrospective of his career, like, or something.
We definitely should. But getting back to Misery, lads. I mean, again, it's very much in the horror thriller category. What's some of the the memories that you have of it, Carl? I mean, I'll just pick one from my perspective, and I'll hand it over to you. When he does get out and he moves the penguin, it shows how OCD this absolute crazy bitch is. Yeah. She comes back and she's like, car. And I also love that line, didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car. It's like she can't use profanity. Like, she's obviously mental.
Yeah. I just loved her whole performance. And it was an absolute powerhouse of a performance, you know. And I mean, like, you know, as you said, it's like a realistic, it could happen. And I think
that definitely did happen somewhere along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely happened. It's definitely happened.
So I mean, I love that kind of realism in it, you know, potential realism. And it was dripping with fucking tension, the whole thing.
Oh, that's a fair point.
Which then leads into atmosphere. And, you know, there was a nasty atmosphere in that film, you know. But like you said, James Caan you know what? He's a fucking great actor. He always is similar in his delivery with his characters, but
very underrated, isn't he?
But very underrated, you know. So,
and one of the best voices ever. I'd listen to James Caan reading the story all day long. Like, you know what I mean? If it hasn't been done, get James Caan to start a podcast reading short stories. Don't care what it's about.
Reading the Stephen King novels.
Exactly.
That would actually, yeah.
It's Stephen King reading Sasquatch stories.
Jesus, you're obsessed, aren't you?
Sasquatch 2024. Sorry.
Oh, for president?
The bit there. Like, even the bit where she shot the sheriff in the back.
Yeah.
You just see his whole chest explode. And she's coming down the stairs like, oh yeah, I've got 2 bullets. And she has a syringe for some reason.
Yeah.
You have to wonder why she's going to inject him with something to shoot him.
She's
be crazy, you know.
Doing an Adolf Hitler on
it. Absolutely, man. Of course, the infamous scene is obviously the breaking of the ankles. And I mean,
I actually forgot how bad that was.
It's really bad, man. And it's one of those, like, one thing I want to say, Carol said about Atmosphere. One thing about this, obviously it came out in 1990, so it still has that very 80s feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But, like,
it was an 80s movie, though. Really.
Yeah, it was made in the 80s, it was filmed in the 80s and released in the 90s. But it was one of those movies that it definitely had that kind of a suspense feel, but there was elements of kind of peace in it, you know, when it did go to the sheriff and you'd see them in the town and all, you know, it wasn't just, you know, you were kind of rooting for the sheriff to kind of go and do his job, and you felt, right, if anyone could solve the case, fucking, you know, Colorado's own Sherlock Holmes can do it, even if he is 180. But,
nice jacket he had, though.
I would. Do you know what? I'm glad you said that. I was like, I need to find me a jacket like that because it's pretty.
Didn't the commander in Rambo have the same jacket or something similar?
Yes, he did.
It was the thing back in those films.
Yeah.
Man, you know, everybody in Colorado wears that shit, you know.
But even like you look at that, how happy were you when you see him arrive at the house? He's walking around, and he comes out of the bedroom. She's just staring at him, and she's like, "No." And they're doing the little Scooby Doo thing.
Yeah.
She goes, "Do you want a cup of hot cocoa?"
Yeah, and he gets the jump on her and gets up the stairs.
Yeah,
like it's gonna save him now. No.
That's quite a tense moment as well, isn't it? The way they keep looking at each other, and then because when he goes upstairs, you're like, "Fuck, that's it. This crazy bitch is gonna find a way to, you know, to just come at him." And then of course she finds him upstairs randomly in her bedrooms. You know what I mean? And she's like, "Hey, here's your cocoa." And he kind of basically says, "Nah, I actually don't want it."
We 100% knew there was something in there.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt.
You know something? Just for I'm just watching. As I'm talking, I know this is real, but I have that scene just on my phone here while we're talking. And just look, but just looking at, like, I haven't got the sound on, but just looking at the interaction between the two of them, and that's even gripping. Gripping.
I'm glad they only showed one part of that where she breaks his left ankle. Oh, it's bad.
Yeah.
Like his whole ankle just turns 90 degrees, and you're like, "Ugh."
I'm just like, just done a little bit there when she pulled me. He's looking for the knife, and she finds it. He's looking for the knife, and she's like, "Yeah, you're looking for this, were you?" Like,
like, she's always one step ahead. Yeah. You know what I mean?
She has that all planned out. I don't care. She done something to that car.
Well, that's kind of the premise, isn't it? That she was following him, and she says that, "Oh, I got to tell you, I did follow you, and I was watching you." Like, she's watching him up in his fucking hotel, just watching the light on. You know what I mean? And it's like, what? Yeah, like it's nasty. It's nasty storytelling.
You know,
great story.
Isn't it unusual? Isn't it strange that that King made her a nurse? You know, I mean, there was a lot of.
100% wasn't a nurse in this movie.
No, you know what I'm saying, though. But like,
well, he finds the scrapbooks, of course, of, you know, she's basically a nurse that was basically killing patients.
Yeah.
With drugs. He finds that, and that's kind of like, that's the turn where he's like, okay, this lady is fucking crazy. So it's gonna. Do you reckon, Carol, it was kind of almost subtly based on something like Nurse Ratched or something like that?
Something. Absolutely. Or, like I was saying, I was going to say, like, there was a couple of nurses that did like that, were a bit fucking mental over the years.
Oh yeah.
And
there was one here recently as well, wasn't there? Recently enough.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of them mainly would kill children more so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, you know, Jesus, I just saw that there, and you see the fucking little foot going. Boom.
Oh, it's bad.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
No, nasty. Yeah, but
it's nasty.
Her facial expressions as well. I mean, if you want to see a good film with just essentially two actors in it that are really, really at the top of the game at that time.
Yeah,
this is one of them. It really is.
Yeah,
now, I feel a lot, and an awful lot of Stephen King's films don't get the justice they deserve, and whether they're just made for TV, or, you know, there's just not a good crew behind it.
I feel a lot of Stephen King's ones, they weren't funded well for
Yeah,
Exactly.
production. Like the casting was always low. Like
yeah.
look at it, they blew their cast getting Tim Curry in.
But you know what? The thing about
Wow,
that is,
what a fucking
yeah,
guy, by the way.
the thing about that is all you have to do is go, and this is awful, right? Just go onto YouTube and look at Tim Curry best bits of it, and that's the best part of the film. You know, I
There
feel
is only one. There is only one. It the clown as well. I'm sorry.
Yep. And
Like
it's not
that's
that Bill Skarsgård fella either.
unbelievable. That guy literally, it was all CGI, and I was like, well, where's the acting?
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Where's the
I
acting?
still don't think he was a bad Pennywise. I think he was a different.
I think it was shite.
No,
The rest, no, well, to be fair now, I went back. So I went in and watched the original one and watched the newer one. I didn't like it. I went back to watch it again, trying to watch it as a movie itself rather than what I knew of it.
Yeah.
So the movie itself is probably better.
Oh, I would
Yeah.
100% agree with that.
But the whole delivery of Pennywise is better in the TV series.
Well, Pennywise is closer to Tim Curry's Pennywise is nearly 100% closer to the book than Bill Skarsgård's. Bill Skarsgård's was a new Hollywood horror portrayal.
Yeah.
But that's my problem with it. It's like, and this isn't a knock on Skarsgård. At the end of the day, he had so I'm not knocking him as an actor. But what I am saying is, where did the acting begin and where did it start? Because at the end of the day, he was just a voiceover actor because it was all CGI. They may have had him doing the face was CGI. His movements was CGI.
His eyes weren't CGI anyway.
What?
His eyes weren't CGI. You can make his eye drop fucking weird, like.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The whole lot of them can do that.
Yeah, it's just weird. I just didn't find it. I don't know. Like I'd be much more looking at someone like Terrifier, going, "There's a clown. There's a guy acting." And it's the same with Tim Curry.
That was on last night.
We will be doing that. Trust me, my man. We will be doing that. And don't forget,
sooner rather than later.
Yes, absolutely.
So here's the season of the witch and the clown always. Carl knows I don't like clowns, but
he knows I do.
You can only imagine what.
Well, you must do with that hat on.
Ooh, that's just coming from someone who got beaten by a team of clowns. What's lower than a clown?
The problem is there is clown college and there is clown language, and I don't speak it, so I didn't even hear what Greg said there.
Anyway, back to Misery.
Yeah, I was just going to say in terms of this movie as a whole, because it's just under the 2-hour mark, I think.
Yeah, 147.
Yeah, what like in terms of the annals of great thriller / horror movies, like where does it stand? I mean, it's quite clear that the public. I've never actually ran into anybody that doesn't like this movie. It's one of those movies. It's like Jaws, where you're like, I don't know if I've met someone that hasn't said good things about this, even if they're horror virgins or whatever. You know what I mean? And they're not big horror fans. Everyone has seen this. Like
it's the same as the likes of The Bone Collector and things like that.
Yes,
movies like that. It's one of them underrated ones. Even like Ravenous, it's kind of just fallen through the cracks because of when it came out.
But although, in fairness, though, there's a caliber there. Sorry for cutting across you.
No, it was
the difference between Ravenous and Misery, for example, is Kathy Bates won Best Actress for the Oscars.
Well, yeah, true.
So, like, that's a bit unfair on Ravenous, really, when you think about it. But
but
I get what you're saying, though. I do get what you're saying.
It drops down a level. Like, people won't watch things like this now. Even when they're kind of the better the movies than what we're getting nowadays.
But you know what's funny? In the way things are today, I think you could get away with this film more than a lot of the old ones we used to watch.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But I would see it, of course, I would see it as a horror, but more, I think it's more accepted as a thriller more so than a horror. But don't get me wrong, it's still equal levels horror. But I think
that's the same conversation that you have with Jaws, right? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? People see it as a
absolutely.
thriller, but it is an out and out
There's a
horror movie.
couple of movies that hit that sweet spot there. Jaws
Silence,
is one of
Silence
them.
the Lambs.
Yeah, exactly. They're
Silence of
not.
the Lambs, Psycho, The
Yeah,
Yeah.
Birds.
they're not set out as horrors per se, but they are
Mhm.
just as horrifying as like horror films. You know.
It's kind of one of those things that like people put a label on it, and it's kind of like the way with metal they had, like heavy metal, fucking grunge metal, death metal. It's all this kind of, you know what I mean? The people like to put labels on things,
Yeah.
but I think when you look at the actual defining, you know, the definition of horror is a horrifying film that gives you
Yeah.
horrifying moments. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's essentially what it.
You're not
What
meant
it
to
really
feel nice watching a horror film.
No, exactly. And it's funny because I even went back and watched, of course, the great Bela Lugosi's Dracula. Like,
Welcome.
something
What a
from
movie.
1932 can still give you horror. Do you know what I mean? By him just glazing.
Looking at you. Yeah.
I'm
It's
good
never
at
been
that.
equaled. Never been
Fucking
equaled.
sign me up, Hollywood. Sign me up.
The
I won't.
eyes.
I won't shave the beard up. I'll be one of those modern vampires.
Sexy vampire.
Not glitter. Hello. What's your man's name in
Oh, were we doing the shadows?
yeah, what's his name?
Oh, I can't remember, but now the
It's
guy,
familiar.
the Waitiki. The familiar. Yeah.
What's his name?
I can't remember. Fuck's
Haven't
sake.
seen it.
Greg, do yourself a favor. Go watch that, will you?
Oh
I
man,
will. I told you I will.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
it's
Good.
and it's the guy from Face Jacker and Phone Jacker as the main vampire, and he is absolutely fantastic. Yes, we are here with creepy paper.
Brilliant.
I know we're segueing a lot tonight, lads.
That's because
but
we're having fun. We're having fun.
That's what it's all about here. It's the On the Slab horror show. Even though we have a movie, this isn't your typical read through of a
It's not a review. It's a discussion.
plot exactly. So I think really like let's look at where Misery, sits on the cold silverware that we like to call the slab.
On Slab.
Yeah.
You want us to throw our meat down there?
Yeah.
Get those hooks out.
Go on,
I'll
Greg.
throw the meat.
Greg, you go first. Go on.
I'll give it a 4.
It's a consistency going on here at the moment. Yeah.
That's because we're picking good films. Absolutely. Yeah, I'd definitely give it a 4 because, as I said, it's got enough horror to keep me there, and the suspense is just the thriller, and I do like a good thriller suspense film, So yeah, 4 for definite, absolutely.
Well, Guillermo.
That's it.
That's the name of the familiar. Hello, Guillermo.
Yeah, no.
Guillermo. I am going to go out on a limb and say 5 on this one.
Wow.
I don't think it has any weak spots at all. I think this is a perfect movie, perfectly scripted, perfectly acted, and perfectly played out in terms of. I think Rob Reiner just done an amazing job on this in terms of.
He hit off a couple of bangers over the time, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would find it hard. I mean, if you guys were only giving it a 4, what would be the reason that you wouldn't give it the 5, just out of interest?
The length of it. It's quite a long film. I know it's good and it's gripping and all that, but it's still quite a long film. I mean, if you shaved about 10-15 minutes off that, then you'd probably get.
Well, what do you shave? That's the problem. Because when you look at the film again, and I know you said you haven't watched it in a long time, so maybe your opinion would change if you watched it again. So I understand that.
So let me have that one for now until I watch it again.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I'm not being Ted. I'm not picking an argument for the sake of it. Sorry, Ted. I love you.
I would have just said, like, there's certain parts of it now that looking at it didn't age well to a point. Like there's parts of it with the CPR, and she's supposed to be a nurse and things like that. They could have got some bits done a little bit better. And also, for me, it's like, as good as a horror movie as it is, there's not enough horror elements for me to give it a 5.
In a horror sense, I suppose you're saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, this is an opinion-based game, so I accept that both accounts.
But on the flip side of that, Ian, I'd accept what you're saying for you giving it a 5 as well.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But this is the best thing, though. With movies, it's how the person sees the movie themselves.
Yeah.
The eye of the beholder. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why we love movies.
Absolutely.
Well,
so I think what we should do, just for old time's sake, I think Greg hasn't picked a film in quite a while. So what we are going to do on the slab, we're going to do an on the spot section, and see what I did there.
I did.
Yeah. We're going to get Greg to pick next week's film, because I think we should do one more as we are off the back of Halloween kind of season.
Yeah.
And then we'll get back to looking at broad senses of horrors as such. But Greg, if you can think of one off the top of your head, you pick next week's movie, baby.
Let's go. We'll go to a Stephen King one we mentioned earlier. We'll go with it.
Oh.
Like it.
So are we going with the modern it, or are we going with both?
We'll go with both if we can get.
That's a nice conversation.
Here's a little thing for you. I know I love Tim Curry. Tim Curry is one of my favorites.
Have a lovely day.
Yeah, but we should have a little kind of a debate show, like all the old one versus the new one. You two guys against for the old one, me and Ted for the new one, and see who wins.
Tag me in, Haas.
All right. Well, then we need to get someone in to kind of
adjudicate
this debate. So maybe Carl Sherlock, if he's somewhere listening out there, and might be the man for the job. I'm not
entirely sure he's a big horror guy.
But I mean, he's a logic guy. He's a logic guy.
He is a logic guy.
I tell you what, we will. I tell you what, we'll put our thinking caps on and get an adjudicator for it.
We will definitely get an adjudicator. I mean, Carol,
maybe if we're going to do that, then I'll change the movie and we can build that one for a couple of weeks away, just in case people aren't around.
All right.
How about we go to a controversial movie of late?
If it's a Serbian film, it's not happening.
What?
I said, if it's a Serbian film, I ain't watching.
I'm not watching it. No.
Never. I'd say we'll go to a 2001 classic, Jeepers Creepers.
Yes.
Right.
I love Jeepers Creepers. I love it.
Ian does not.
I'll watch it though. And in fairness, it's my fair missus. I sound so Irish there. My fair miss. She loves that movie too. So I didn't hate it, to be honest with you. I know I've said not very flattering things about it, but I didn't hate it.
It's a movie of choice, really, isn't it? You love it. Hate it.
You picked the movie. It's, you know what I mean? At the there's my one. Look.
The Invisible Man.
That's the one of Jeepers Creepers 4, isn't it? Yeah.
That's just
coming out next month.
I don't know. That's just horrifying.
I think we should definitely maybe we should do a look back of the trilogy, maybe, and just see a bit behind them. What do you think, Greg?
Yeah.
Okay, well, look, that gives me an excuse to watch it again and then watch the other two, because I have only seen the first one, and like I said, I didn't hate it. So I'm interested in watching it. And plus, I like your man. What's the main guy that played it? Because he played he played the main guy in Tusk as well. Yeah, he has a great podcast too.
It was also the boyfriend in Drag Me to Hell.
Yes. Another movie that I'm not a fan of.
I enjoyed that one though, I must say.
It's weird. I'm such a weird, I don't know. I'm one of these weird horror fans. And we that's the great thing about this show, is that we all have our different personalities. But at the same time, I think it's really cool that we get to, because I like that being put on the spot. It's like, right, there's your homework. I gotta watch Jeepers Creepers again. And like I said, I didn't hate the movie. It's I like it far better than I like some of this torture porn. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, stop.
I'm not a fan of torture porn. I mean, I didn't like Hostel. I didn't like You know, the saws are good for what they are, but it's still weird. You know what I mean? It's not.
It's too contrived, isn't it? You know,
It's kind of like, will someone investigate these directors, because they seem to like a lot of work. I mean, that director of Serbian film should be in jail, surely.
I agree.
Wasn't it kind of like the cops that investigated the cannibal Holocaust?
Yes.
You got the lads.
Your mum was nearly gone to jail.
Yeah, you got the lads to sign a deal to go into hiding.
No, that's true. Yeah, for a year. A year.
Here's these boys trying to take Vince McMahon to court for selling a few steroids. God damn it!
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm happy to go with Jeepers Creepers next week. Then I'm happy to watch.
We'll try and organise the IT one then for a couple of weeks, and we can get a few on.
We'll get an adjudicator. By the way, I will say one thing about Jeepers Creepers. It's a really cool fucking villain. Like, it is. Yeah. I mean, that truck is awesome, and the get up is, and I'm sure somehow it was based on the Undertaker, but to be made superior.
It looks to me it's the same character as Legend, really.
Yeah, very similar.
Very good point. Yeah. Well, sure. Look. I suppose that's all we have time for this week. Fantastic show once again. Like I say, each and every week, please, if you haven't seen some of these movies, do yourself a favor and go back and watch Misery. Go back and watch a lot of the movies that we've just mentioned. And actually, do yourself a favor and go and watch Jeepers Creepers as well, so that you can be with us on this this journey. But let's get some paperwork done and get some bills paid, of course. This has been brought to you as part of the Dynamo Podcast Network. As always, please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification button. If this is your favorite show on the network, then of course we do have playlists. Go directly to the playlist and you can watch all of our shows weekly if you're not interested in anything else. But if you are interested in anything else, of course, the two boys have their own shows on this as well. Greg is now part of 3 different podcasts, I believe, on the network.
Yeah.
3 on the network, yeah.
3 Retrotainment, which is, of course, a look back at old movies and just anything that's retro. Of course, on the Slab, and now you have a new Man United podcast for any Man United fans out there.
Well, it'll be 4. Retrotainment Recast is there as well.
That's true. So what's the name of the new Man United show? We'll only give you 2 seconds.
Man United Till We Die, or the Red Devils Report. Sorry, United Till We Die.
There we go. So
Greg is coming out every game week.
There we go. And then Carl, of course, has King Wolves Court.
Yeah. Which I'm getting back up and running with that now as well.
You are, of course, you are. You know me. If you don't by now, you're probably sick of seeing my face. I've got about 10 pies in my hand, isn't each and every one of them. So please do like and subscribe. There's definitely something there for absolutely everybody. It's probably one of the most diverse podcast channels out there anywhere. And we are still in our infancy and still growing. And we appreciate your support, ladies and gentlemen. But until next week, I have been your host, Ian the Dynamo Kelly. I have been joined by the big GC, Greg, the big JF. What's it? The G to the C? I always get it wrong.
GKF.
GKF. There we go. We got a new one. And of course, mighty Carl King. Whoa. Until next week, this has been On the Slab. We have been your favorite horror hosts. Over and out.
Good luck.